Hey y'all, it's your girl Millie Chun, and welcome to this is our fourth call to action. Yay! This is our fourth call to action. We've been doing so good. We've had some phenomenal guests, and today is no exception. Today we have Erica Loewe. Erica is the Chief of Staff for Public Engagement to the White House. So she's going to give us a little insight of what's going on. We're going to talk about the president, the current president, a little bit. We're going to talk about the vice president a little bit, and some other things that are going on in the world. So welcome to Millie Chan TV, Erica.
Thank you. Thank y'all. Hi, everybody.
I've interviewed her before. I interviewed Erica because she's on the 6th. There was a documentary about the insurrection on January the 6th, and she was one of the main players in that. And it is a phenomenal, informational documentary. You did such a great job.
Thank you. I was now the insurrectionists were the main players.
Yes,
I was one of the main victims.
Yes. Yeah, you were a main victim.
No. But in the 6, it showcased, 6 people who experienced January 6th from different vantage points. So you had police officers, you had the black man who was the chief of police, and it was like his first week on the job. You had a member of Congress who was on the floor, where he heard gunshots, and then I was barricaded in Congressman Clyburn's office as they were knocking on the door trying to get in, and we were trying to figure out if we could use staplers as weapons to protect ourselves. So it was a wild time, and I'm glad that people are talking about it, and I hope folks continue to talk about it, before and after the election and so on.
Well, I just saw that they're going to reopen that case, right, for January the 6th.
Yeah, I mean,
So
there's
that.
yeah,
So
there's
it will definitely be talked about.
I hope so.
Yeah, that would definitely be talked about. So real quick, even like I say I'm in Kamala land, other people in Kamala land. How is the president doing? How is he doing physically, mentally? And we know he's working because he's been busy all last week.
Well, listen, Joe Biden is in Kamala land. Kamala Harris is in Joe Biden land. They are still, partners in, I don't want to say crime because there are actual criminals out here running for president, but they they are partners in the struggle, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And he's doing fine. Like he is working, like he said, when he first announced that he wouldn't be running for another term. He is completely focused and dedicated to, his last few months as president, and he has not slowed down, as you saw. He announced reform or proposed reforms to the Supreme Court, which is something that I know folks have been talking about a long time. He's over here freeing prisoners from Russia. Then he's over at the Lyndon Johnson Library giving a speech about civil rights. Every time you turn around, Joe Biden is up doing something new. He's announcing, proposed rules to provide more student debt relief when Republicans couldn't do it. I've lost count of all the things he paid his respects to Sheila Jackson Lee. Like the list goes on, and this was only in the last week. So Joe Biden is not slowing down. He has his foot on the gas. Kamala Harris has her foot on the gas. She's going so many places next week. She's going to more cities and states than there are days in the week. They're working. I'm tired just looking at it. So,
well, I'm glad to hear that, because when you get into the rhetoric and all that, all on social media and all of that, people say, well, she's not going anywhere. She's afraid to go here and there, but it's a campaign trail. She has to go and talk to people.
I'm so confused by this "Where is Kamala Harris" campaign that I'm convinced, her detractors started a long time ago. Kamala Harris has traveled around the country and back, abroad and back, and then some. Like, she has always been out there. If you didn't see Kamala Harris, your eyes were closed. You weren't looking. It has blown my mind. Anybody who says they have not seen Kamala Harris literally has their eyes glued shut with their hand over it. I'm convinced, because she is everywhere. Just Google Kamala Harris. In fact, this whole hashtag, "Where's Kamala Harris?" Just Google "Where's Kamala Harris?" You'll see that she's somewhere in the world in a city near you. It's crazy.
It is crazy. Because I mean, I was literally like, well, she has to get on the road. She has to campaign. So, can you tell us a little bit about the people who have come home from Russia?
Absolutely. But hold
How
on,
did that
going
happen?
back to Kamala Harris real quick.
Okay.
Because even before she was on the campaign trail, as vice president, she was doing her job traveling the world. And I just want everybody to know that she has been traveling. She didn't
Right.
just start traveling. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Let's
Wait. Before you do that, could you clear something up? Because also, a lot of people are like, well, she hasn't done anything as vice president. What is she going to do for president? Could you just tell people what her job entails?
That is crazy. So Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are a team. Let's be clear. From the very beginning of this administration, Joe Biden said Kamala Harris was going to be the last one in the room. So when you see funding for Black farmers that just went out, we have Black farmers in this country who have faced discrimination for decades, getting checks as large as $500,000. Now, if I got a check for $500,000, y'all probably wouldn't see me anytime soon. And that is what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did.
Say yes.
And I mean, the checks and pockets, ending the pandemic and making sure that folks got vaccines, people of color were prioritized as it pertains to vaccines. The American Rescue Plan, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act, the Inflation Reduction Act. Like, I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. You ain't never seen presidents and vice presidents negotiating and helping to legislate in the way that these two skilled legislators have done. And I don't understand. I just don't understand what people aren't seeing. But I get it. And
if I could just briefly jump in on that one, Millie Chun, because that's pissed me off all over social media. And that, number one, people fail to accept the fact that we had a divided Senate when Vice President Harris took office. And it's the number one job of the vice president to preside over the Senate. Yes. You had 50 Republicans and 48 Democrats. 50 and people don't understand that either. Why is he saying 48 Democrats? Because Bernie Sanders and Angus King are independents, technically, who caucus with Democrats. So she had to be there for every single vote. And Republicans are notorious for sliding in votes secretly in the middle, in the dark of session. And if she was not there, then it wouldn't have been able to have had a tie-breaking vote. So she had to preside over this equally divided Senate for the first 2 years. Then she has had a focus on, again, large part of a certain element of our I don't want to say border. What am I trying to say? Of international affairs specific to Central and South America.
Okay.
That part. And it was about the international relationships with the foreign countries, not with border security, but with brokering deals and agreements with the leaders of those countries, of Venezuela, of Belize, of Guatemala. Yeah. Then on top of that, she has had a huge part to play around Black economic opportunity and empowerment in this country, trying to fix historically past wrongs. And she's done a whole entire tour around this country, highlighting that and highlighting what that has meant for the Black community in terms of wealth, in terms of closing the racial wealth gap, also in terms of helping to reset right. Currently, she's been very focused on medical debt relief that has been a huge drain on the Black community. All of that are some of the very few of the major accomplishments of VP. And I get so angry when I hear people talk about what has she done or where has she been, because if you just simply look on her Twitter or look on her Instagram, it's everything.
Yes, but thank you, Zach. Thank you for that, because your passion is why you're here, and I love you for that. But go ahead, Erica.
No, I need to take him everywhere I go, because amen. All of that, and then some. So, if we need to put a little one pager in the chat, I can pull that up and I can share that with folks as well. Because I know that there are a lot of people who know, but the folks that don't confuse me. But I digress. What was you were asking about something else?
I was asking about the detained Americans that came home this week.
Oh, absolutely. So you saw President Biden and Vice President Harris at the tarmac at Joint Base Andrews to greet these Americans who are finally home. There were 3 American citizens, 1 American green card holder, who were unjustly imprisoned in Russia, and they finally came home. Paul, Evan, Alsu, Vladimir. And as Joe Biden said, this was the best part that I thought of his statement. He said, this is a powerful example of why it's vital to have friends in this world who you can trust and depend on. And I think that's the realest thing, or one of the realest things he's ever written, because not every president and vice president would be able to do that. You know, you can't antagonize world leaders and then be like, oh, hey, by the way, can you make this happen for me? But he had the relationships, they have the negotiating skills. You know, they have been working on this. You know, it's crazy. One of the reporters asked about other folks who have been imprisoned and how he plans to get them out. And he was like, you want me to tell you so I can't get them out, or you want me to just get them out? Like, basically, it's like, stop playing with me. Like, I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. I did it. He's done it many, many times before. He's brought home, the administration's brought home 70 Americans, 16 people from Russia. You know, that, like, you check the vice president and the president's track record against other administrations, and you just haven't seen that.
Right. He is like the most, he's been the president with the most accolades, I think, or doing the most work. You know, they've done work. I'm not taking it from anybody else, but when you look at it, and people don't look at it, if you don't follow it, if you don't go look for it, you won't know. And he has been just fantastic as a president.
Yeah.
So,
can I just
Yes.
Can I jump in 1 second? I want to say to Kimber Monique in the chat, who says that Kamala Harris lost her with Meg Twerking at the DNC. I want to make sure that we are staying focused as Black people specifically, with 94 days until the election. First of all, if Meg Twerking at the DNC lost you, I would like to know if Bill Clinton lost you when he played the saxophone on the Arsenio Hall during his run for presidency. I also would like to know if you felt equally as lost when Amber Rose was paraded around at the RNC, not only paraded around, but also featured in a rap song that seemingly made a mockery of the hip hop community as a way to pull in Black voters. I would lastly like to remind you that Meg Thee Stallion is a 20-something-year-old woman somewhere twerking for women's rights. Something that is on the ballot this election season is exactly where she's supposed to be. Call me when she's 40 years old twerking on the stage, and there is no election at hand, and we is just outside at the DNC. Okay, thank you very much.
It was no twerks. There were 8 counts. There was not one twerk.
Thank you. Not a twerk. We are all over the age of 30 here on this panel and probably in this chat. We grew up on the twerk team. You know good and gosh darn well what a twerk is, and you know you didn't see it at the DNC. But rhetoric like that, losing or saying that you won't vote for Kamala Harris when we are up against what we are up against in this election, is exactly why that rhetoric started to be pushed on the internet. So you can be for or against whoever you want to be for or against. But again, as a woman, your autonomy is on the ballot. And that was the purpose of Meg Thee Stallion being at the DNC. So don't lose that.
I just wish people listen to the message, right? That just the message. All that Quavo, all that in the beginning, that's fun, pomp and circumstance. But you need to listen to the message. If you let something like somebody dance and knock you off your rocker, like that's not even serious. It's not.
You wasn't on the rocker to begin with, and I wish you would just say that too.
You cannot let that be like, oh my God, I'm not going to vote. Like that just, I mean, I'm not trying to get at you or anything like that, but seriously, you need to listen to the entire message. Forget all the other stuff, because Megan gonna do what Megan's gonna do. But we have a real situation right now. Tiffany,
I just wanted to add. I think it's ridiculous that we spend time entertaining. I mean, we just don't have the time. We have 100 days till an election. If you're so upset about Meg Thee Stallion, allegedly, because I didn't see her twerk, I just saw her moving, but I digress. I mean, I watched the whole thing. I didn't see her do anything. But why should that bother you? Because if Donald Trump is reelected, you're not going to be twerking anywhere. Nobody's going to be twerking. So I think, I don't have the energy. I just don't know how people do it. I don't have the energy to go back and forth with people who, out of all the things that was done that day on that stage and the powerful message that Kamala Harris had and what Quavo had to say, all the other people that came up there on that stage, and what you wanted to focus on is Meg Thee Stallion and the couple of seconds that you thought she moved a little bit more than she should have.
Right.
I just think it's absurd. There's way too much on the ballot for us to waste time talking about that. I'm not going back and forth with people. It's 2024. We got to get her and do what we got to do to get her in office and stop all this arguing back and forth with each other about something that doesn't matter. And to me, Meg Thee Stallion twerking does not matter whether she did or not. What really matters is the rights to our own body and what she stands for. Meg Thee Stallion is a college graduate. Meg Thee Stallion is a women's rights activist. She cares about the mental health of the Black community. She started a website so we can access mental health resources in the Black and brown community. But nobody wants to talk about that. They just want to focus on the one little time where she may have moved or jiggled more than you or I, ma'am, could probably jiggle. But I digress.
Okay, Kimber, let me say this. Kimber said, y'all just said I wasn't going to vote. She's not saying she's not voting. She just said that she was lost. But the thing is, it's the conversation like that you can have around someone who may not think as strongly. Like, you know, you could say, I didn't appreciate Megan doing this. But what the vice president had to say was profound. You know, we get that. So nobody's saying you're not doing anything. We're not, like, you have your opinion, we have our opinion, and I want everybody to know your opinion is respected here. But at the same time, it's just saying things like that can deter someone for this very important time in our life. That's all we're saying. So let's continue on. So student loan debt. That was a really big thing. I reposted in my story because they were saying check your emails because there may be possibly your loan debt is going to be forgiven. Can you speak to that, Erica?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I want to be clear that go to studentaid.gov/debt relief. Again, that is studentaid.gov/debt relief. I'll put that in the chat to make sure that you have the most up-to-date information. But again, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, they're not letting obstructionists and Republicans stop them from providing relief for Americans just because some folks on the other side don't necessarily want to stop you from, or don't necessarily want you to have relief from these student loans. They said, well, we're going to try another way. So many Americans got an email in their inbox that outlined draft rules that are being proposed by the Secretary of Education to grant student debt relief to tens of millions of borrowers. Folks that qualify for either partial or that should qualify for either partial or full debt relief will include borrowers who owe more than they did at the start of repayment, borrowers who've been in repayment for decades, borrowers who are otherwise eligible for loan forgiveness but have not yet applied, and borrowers who enrolled in low financial value programs. So those are those programs that might have been a little bit scammy, and they're trying to help you recover what you lost. So that being said, I encourage everyone to go to studentaid.gov/debt relief to make sure, one, that you qualify, and also to opt out. I think you have until August 30th to opt out for debt relief for any reason.
Can you give me that website again?
Student Aid. I'm going to put it in the chat. Hold on.
Okay. Because people really need to know that because my loans were forgiven. And I appreciate that so much. I mean, I get a statement, but it's zero balance. So that works.
Okay. Hallelujah. Shout out to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Shout out. So just to make sure everybody has that information, and then I will also put it in other platforms and you all can have that, because it's very important to get all you can get, because we don't know what's going to happen. We hope we know what's going to happen. But you just always need to be protected with that.
I see folks in the chat talking about they got the email.
Okay.
Love that. So when you ask what Kamala Harris has done for the people, check your email.
Yeah. That's good. So someone in here has gotten an email, and here's the studentaid.gov/debt-relief. So everybody go, whoever has that, go ahead and get that started. So someone said they got 30K forgiven. That is fantastic.
Amazing.
Okay, so we got that. So what is going on with the vice president? What is she up to these days?
Sis is busy. Madam Vice President is extremely busy because, again, she continues to govern in her role as the record-breaking tiebreaker and as in her role as vice president. But then again, she's also, traveling the world. Some of it is political travel. Some of it is official travel. But regardless, she is spending a lot of time meeting folks where they are. So on Tuesday, as is widely known, she'll be in Philadelphia. On Wednesday, she'll be in Wisconsin. And then on Wednesday and Thursday, she'll be in Detroit. On Thursday, she'll be in Raleigh, North Carolina. On Friday, she'll be in Savannah, Georgia. And then from Savannah, she's going to go to Phoenix, Arizona. And then Saturday, she'll be in Nevada. So, it's too bad she can't get frequent flyer miles from Air Force Two, because she is all over this country, meeting people where they are. If folks are in any of those cities or states that I mentioned, please reach out and we can see if there are events that you might be able to attend. But she's outside.
Okay. This is a message from Pepper2878. Can she explain the opt-out deadline by 8:30? Because I qualified for the initial 20K, but then Congress denied it. But I'm still in school as well.
The opt-out deadline by 8:30. But then, I don't know that I fully understand the question. But what I do know that if you prefer to opt out, it's not like a deadline that is required. If for whatever reason you prefer to opt out of debt relief, then you contact your servicer by August 30th.
Okay, by August 30th.
Didn't qualify, or if you qualified and you were denied, that's a different story, and that's something that we'd have to talk directly to the Department of Education about. So that being said, I will put my email in here as well, and I can direct you to someone who might be able to help. Let's see. Oh, it said it failed to post. Well, my email is erica.p.loewe@who.eop.gov.
I want to let you do that.
I don't know. It says every time I try to do it, it says the comment has failed to post. So
Erica.p.loewe.
Put it in the chat, like the whole thing before the @ and then in a second message put @ you have to break it up because YouTube won't let you share like your phone number and stuff like that.
Okay, so that's erica.p.loewe at who? Learned something new today. Had no idea. It's buffering.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, so you have her email, erica.p.loewe, LOEWE @who.eop.gov.
Yes.
So for any questions you may have, you can reach her like that.
Yes.
All right. Anybody else? You have some questions?
Yeah, I guess my question would be, in your opinion, what do you think people should be focusing on in terms of talking points to getting undecided voters to the poll by November? Everybody has their opinions on like, oh, it's too close to the election to talk about this. We should talk about that. How do you think undecided people should be encouraged to get to the polls?
Well, first of all, I think there's a lot of disinformation, misinformation out there. And I think that's where we start. I think it is really, really, really important that if you're getting information and you've decided that this is why I'm not going to vote, that you check a credible source. You're welcome to reach out to me. You have folks on this platform that are clearly committed to making sure they get the information out there. Check with, you can also just go online and Google some reputable sites. But I would highly recommend we make sure that the information is factual. Secondly, if you find that the information is factual and you're still not sure, then let's have a conversation. There are a ton of folks that are on, the Biden-Harris team that, like, our job, the role of my office is to engage the American people and to make sure that the doors of the White House are open. So let's have a conversation. You and other folks who aren't sure they want to vote, we can talk about issues that you specifically care about. And it is very possible that, I've got on here and I'm talking about, folks being freed from Russia and the Supreme Court and Black farmers, and maybe none of that applies to you. And that's fair. That is absolutely fair. That may have nothing to do with your day-to-day. But let's talk about what is, because I guarantee you that there is something that the Biden-Harris administration has done that has impacted you personally in your day-to-day life.
Right. Very good. Tiffany?
Hi. I didn't really have any questions. I think that focusing, someone put in the comments on Project 2025, very important that we talk about that. And also Agenda 47, because if you lay them on top of each other, they're exactly the same. I think that's important. Kind of blocking out the noise. I mean, I know that I don't know about everybody else, but with Madam Vice President Kamala Harris being a woman of color, it can be hard to listen to some of the things that is being said, some of the things that people are using against her. I know it can be hard. I know I myself struggle with listening to these things. So it's very important that we talk these things out, seek mental health services if you need to, because at the end of the day, this is us that is on this ballot here.
Right.
And sometimes it feels like, a woman of color, it feels like, oh my God, she can't be Black because, she's achieving at the highest level. But if she was out here stealing or whatever, then it would be okay to call her Black. You know what I mean? It's just really sad. So I would say, just kind of block out some things that you hear that you can't take in, because a lot of this stuff is hard to listen to.
It is hard.
I mean, it can be hard to listen to.
Hard.
I just kind of like take breaks from politics if you need to, put away the CNN and the MSNBC and kind of, take breaks from this stuff, because it can get overwhelming in my opinion. And it could be just because I've been doing this for so doggone long that I'm kind of tired. But I have seen a lot of people in my comment section telling me, I'm just so overwhelmed. Like, I'm so tired. Like, why are they saying these things? Why hasn't these things ever come up before?
Right.
It's because she's achieving at such a high level that, I mean, it's almost like people don't want her to be Black, So right. That's what I would say. In this day, pay attention to Project 2025, Agenda 47. Watch how these people are pandering. Last night, this whole speech with Trump, this girl from Chick-fil-A, he brought up there on the stage. That whole thing was an absolute disaster. This morning, we had Byron Donalds arguing with George Stephanopoulos about Madam Vice President Kamala Harris being Black. Those things. We can pay attention to those things, but we can also block out those things if they're too overwhelming for us to take. And also, you can go visit Meg Thee Stallion's website if you need some mental health, Black and brown mental health professionals. You can go visit. I think it's Black Girls Need Mental Health Too. I think that's what it's called. So you can go and check that out and find you some Black and brown professionals if you need that mental health as we go through this time, which is exciting, but it can also be triggering.
Yeah. I agree with you so much, because it's like the fact if she's Black or if she's not Black, like that's all they're talking about. And when I made a post about her from the Breakfast Club, and in her words, she's saying, I'm a Black woman, I'm gonna die Black, right? And like you said, Tiffany, like the rhetoric behind it, just everything people have to say, it doesn't bother me. But I'm like, what does it matter what color she is? Zach, what do you have something to add?
No, that's just, listen, it's a non-factor. What people are saying like that, because this is the thing, and this is what everyone has to realize. This is the othering tactic is not new in politics aimed towards Black people. It's actually been something they've done really all of our lives, to all of us. Every single one of you have also been othered by white supremacists and those who want to oppress. Even if you don't realize the whole concept of being an Oreo, or you're not really Black because you sound white, all of that is what they do to diminish the credibility of Black academic strength. They've always done it. So Kamala's not, all of a sudden, she's not Black. Barack wasn't Black. Ketanji Brown Jackson, because she's married to a white man, she's not Black. They're not going to stop doing this because it's an effective way of diminishing the power and the strength of Black academic and scholarship. But they're not going to do that to rappers, to athletes. They're actually going to allow people like Amber Rose to become super Black when it's convenient to them and their message. So you have to completely take away that platform and that credibility. And that's what I was thinking in my head. Like, it's not new. We have to continuously, when we see it, ignore it. This is my strategy for the next 93 days until this election, is to deplatform all of the nonsense that I can deplatform, to give it no energy and no air, and just focus on the work and the message of ensuring that Vice President Kamala Harris becomes the 47th president of the United States.
Good.
That's the 47 I want to see.
Yes.
You need to take a break. No allows while we are on here. Got the gold for the 100 meters. So, breaks are available.
So, Kaya Woods, I think you answered this a few minutes ago, Erica. She said, when can we expect to start seeing Madam Vice President doing media interviews again? Is that something she's going to do when she travels?
Yeah, I mean, when she travels with a press corps, and you'll often see clips from those interviews that she does, whether it be on the plane or whether it be on the tarmac. Obviously, when those Americans were freed a couple of days ago, she did kind of an impromptu press conference. So she is talking to media, but I imagine you're referring to an official sit down. And that certainly will come sooner rather than later. I mean, a lot has changed in her life in the last 2 weeks. I don't even know if it's been 2 weeks. Today might be the 2-week mark.
It is on a Sunday.
It is.
It's just been 2 weeks. That's it.
So I would, be a little patient as the campaign continues to trickle over from Joe Biden to Kamala Harris. But she's certainly out there talking to press. You saw that crazy NABJ debacle, but they're having conversations with her to do a proper sit down in the weeks and months to come. So you're definitely going to be seeing her out there more. But every week she talks to media.
Okay. Was that good, Kaya? So President, what else is on his agenda? Do you know what else is on his agenda that we can look forward to coming up?
Joe Biden is running through the tape. Like I told y'all, he has way more energy than I these days, especially. I don't have anything to specifically preview at the moment, but I think he has been very clear. One, that he wants to make sure that communities of color, particularly the Black community who brought him to the dance, as he said, gets as much as they possibly can. And I think that this last week has been a clear indicator of that. Like I said, Black farmers are getting checks. He's calling out the Supreme Court. He's making sure Americans are freed from abroad. He's giving various remarks, talking about the conversations. Folks like to talk about a DEI hire and this, that, and all that nonsense. That is noise. Joe Biden is talking about what the vice president, what their administration is doing to make sure that we're not erased from history. That DEI it's a positive thing. It's not a negative thing, and it doesn't have this negative spin that others might have you to believe. So he's keeping his eye on the ball. He is not stopping until January.
Well, watching him last week, because he was just all over the place. I was just looking at him like, I took it hard when he decided he wasn't gonna run, and I made a very touching video, and I was very sad, that Joe wasn't going to run. I understand it, but it kind of bothered me a little bit. And watching him last week, I was like, oh my gosh, this man he's really getting it done. So it just makes me think, like, him dropping out, like, why did it really happen? Like, he can handle a lot, because last week it showed that he can handle a lot. And he's been doing this. You know what I'm saying? Joe Biden didn't just wake up last week. He's been doing all of this. So, if you ever see him, just let him know that I love him. And he was a great president to me, and I just love the guy. So I'm gonna miss the guy.
And I really want to point out to people, with me doing this, everybody you have seen has been a person of color in the White House.
And who do you think hired us? I'm sorry.
Exactly. I just want to point it out that, they have gone, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have gone through so many lengths to make sure that we are represented, right? So and that was the whole point of me doing this, to get people who can answer the questions. So because we are so instant, because we're on social media, we get these little sound bites. And honestly, I don't even know how I got into this. Like, I have no idea. I called Tiffany. She said, let me call this person. Let me call this person. I called Elle, and here we are. And we have a fantastic panel, right? And everybody that has been a guest on this panel has been someone who can really answer the questions. So when people are saying, and that's the point of me doing this, is when you hear all this rhetoric on social media, I want to bring you somebody who can answer your question.
Right.
And that's what I want to do for my audience. And just see that we are represented here. We are represented in the White House. Erica has gone through a lot. She was she was the one, like, she was in the hallways January the 6th, right? This is her. This is who you're looking at. And from that all the way to the chief of staff for public engagement to the White House for the president, and work closely with the president. Like, that doesn't just happen. And it doesn't always just happen for us. So
you better give her flowers.
I appreciate you.
Yes.
I appreciate you giving us a platform, because that's all we ask for. You don't have to always agree. If you decide that this platform doesn't necessarily align with you, then I don't understand, but so be it. But regardless, we appreciate folks like you who just give us an opportunity to speak. Like you said, this has been the most diverse administration in history, but diversity is not enough. Like, it has to be we're not just Black faces. It has to be diversity of thought, and that is what the president and the vice president were very clear about. They said early on they wanted their administration to reflect America. They wanted people in the room with them to make sure that they are experiencing a diversity of thought. And it's just diversity of thought, and it's not just a bunch of white men surrounding them. And that has been the case. And you've seen that in actual positions of consequence. Like, it's not just folks, just in the room smiling, making copies, right? Like the budget director, the woman who holds the $6 trillion federal government's budget is Shalonda Young. That is a Black woman. We've never seen a Black woman do that. Ketanji Brown Jackson, a Black woman. We've never seen a Black woman on the Supreme Court. Kamala Harris, a Black woman vice president who, God willing, will be the first woman, the first Black woman to serve as president of this country. Karine Jean-Pierre, the first Black woman to be the face of the White House and stand at that podium every day and speak on behalf of the leader of the free world. And there's so many other firsts. And I know folks say it's 2024, we're tired of firsts, but that's the environment that we're living in. And because of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, we don't have to see those as firsts anymore, because they done did it. Now it's incumbent on the next generation to make sure they're seconds and thirds and fourths. So I feel very blessed to have been a part of this administration. To go to the White House every day and see people that look like me in all aspects of the operation. And that doesn't happen by accident. That is a very intentional thing that happened, and it shouldn't be ignored.
It is very intentional. And it has, all my growing up, my presidents haven't looked like me, but like with my daughter, when she started growing up and knowing anything about a president, she had a Black president. So it makes sense to her. It just is what it was.
Yeah.
And with Kamala running, that's amazing.
Yeah. This should be the norm. I'm actually jealous of this generation, and I hope that they appreciate what they get to see on a day-to-day. Because granted, they see more extremism than we've probably seen in the past. We've never seen an insurrection in the Capitol and the like, but at the same time, a lot of that is the result of seeing people like us being in positions where we belong. I love that for our kids and generations to come.
Because y'all do really good on y'all Black jobs. I love it.
I see.
They tearing
my Black job.
Yeah, I love y'all's Black jobs. It's fantastic.
Hey, Trey.
Can we
Trey adding more? I'm sorry, you're right, Trey. I was moving too fast. Lloyd Austin, the first Black person to serve as Defense Secretary. You got Marsha Fudge out here, who was HUD Secretary. We've got unprecedented Judge Joe Biden appointed more Black women judges to the bench than all of his predecessors combined. History is made left and right. Michael Regan, the first Black man to serve as EPA administrator. What else you got, Trey? I'm sorry.
Well, is there anything else that you all want to share before we get out of here? Because I just want to thank you, Erica, for giving us a little of your time today and helping us. Erica has given us her email address. She has also given us the website for your student loans, so you can go and get that started. So, and I will take that down, and I will also put that on different things that I'll post. So I appreciate you being here and giving us those little nuggets today, because that is something that's very important.
Erica, really quickly, Yandy went viral this week for her comments about Kamala Harris, saying that, yes, we need to get her in the office, but like we need to make sure as Black people, and then specifically as Black women, we actually get something, quote unquote, out of her presidency. In your opinion, does that statement hold any validity? And if it does, what does, quote unquote, leaving here with something look like for you inside of a Kamala Harris presidency?
I think that she's not wrong in that we should get something out of this presidency. But again, we should hold every president accountable. I don't think Kamala Harris would disagree with that. You held Vice President Harris accountable and Joe Biden accountable. And I would dare say, based on the list that I just ticked through, that Black women got a lot from the Biden-Harris administration. And there's no doubt in my mind that the Harris / question mark, whoever the vice president is going to be, administration will take what was done and take it that much further. There's just no doubt in my mind. She is more than qualified. One, let's be clear, as I will repeat, she is a Black woman. She spent the past 4 years as a governing partner to the most experienced president in American history. She passed and implemented historic legislation. She strengthened national security through her travels to more than 20 countries. Her record as VP builds on her distinguished career as a district attorney, attorney general, a United States senator. I think it would be crazy and really small-minded for anyone to even imply that they're not going to get anything from a Harris administration. We've already gotten so much, and we're only going to get more. She's the only person to do it. So
I love that.
So vote.
Zachary?
No, I was looking at the comments, and someone had asked about VP stance on Gaza, and what I was going to say I was actually going to go to pull up some information and put it in the chat, but I'll just simply say that she, the same way that President Biden called for understanding and acceptance of legalizing same gender loving marriages before President Obama did, Vice President Harris called for a ceasefire before President Biden did. So, her stance has been, I think, consistent. And I think it's going to continue along the lines of every other person who sat in that seat as president to fight for a two-state solution, a safe and secure Israel that protects itself, as well as a free Palestine. And that comes from a lot of diplomacy, a lot of work, and a lot of brokering. And I think that's what you're going to continue to see. And that's what I've seen all of our comments reflect as I've looked at this particular stance closely as well. But I defer back to the expert for any additional commentary on that. But that's what I've been able to see from what's been reported.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Like I said, I need to take you everywhere I go.
Zach is amazing.
I see.
Yes, he is.
Like, you need to come sit with me in my office and work.
well, look, when Elle was talking about President Biden's, I think it was when someone was talking about his work ethic and his ability to get work done, again, we saw this man attend the service for Sheila Jackson Lee and then free hostages at 12 o'clock midnight, greeting them, looking spry. He's a night owl. He's a Scorpio, and that's just how we roll. That's how we roll.
And she's a Libra, gang, gang.
I'm not gang, gang. I can't. We gang, gang. Tiffany, do you have anything to say at the end?
No, I just wanted to tell y'all to make sure y'all check y'all registrations. You can check those at vote.org. Make sure you check them. Make sure they're up to date. Keep checking them. Checking them once, checking them twice. If you're not registered at vote.org, you can register there. It takes about 2 minutes. Go over there, check it, make sure it's good. If it's not good, go ahead and register and rock that vote, baby. It's very important. November is on the way. Love you
Especially
guys.
if you're in Georgia, where we had the Secretary of State create a whole entire website to unenroll people. If you wanted to
Yes.
unenroll someone,
Yes.
that looks exactly like the registration, like the page that we go to in our state to check registration. It looks exactly the same, mirror pages. Like if you're old or confused or whatever, you wouldn't know the difference. All that anyone needed to do to unenroll you as a voter was have your first name, last name, and either your social security number or your driver's license. And then they actually posted all of our public information for an hour on that website. We now have evidence that someone was attempting to mass unenroll people at one time that has ties back to MAGA. All of this has been verified, or all of this has been reported by Politico. I'm just saying what I'm going to do. I'm joining the lawsuit. Cannot wait. Just waiting for somebody to say lawsuit up. You can DM me at any point. If you know you're doing a lawsuit to class action, because I'm going to be 100% on that. Happy to testify against Brad Raffensperger and Brian Kemp and Brian Kemp's wife, Marty, if she took it.
Not Marty.
And they keep
Not happy
doing
to
these
testify.
things. But
Not
Donald Trump
Marty.
just
Look, Brian, I mean, if Donald Trump was throwing shots at Marty, I could throw some shots too.
look, Donald Trump was just harassing them and embarrassing them last night on stage, but they're out there doing stuff to get him more votes. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And then I think it was the former lieutenant governor of Georgia made a statement talking about, hey, Donald Trump is a threat to democracy and all this kind of stuff. And Brian Kemp is up here making fake websites so people could go unenrolled. That's why I always tell people to go to vote.org. You cannot go wrong with vote.org. They ain't gonna treat you wrong. They gonna treat you right, baby. They gonna get you right all the way. As soon as you click the little button and say you're not registered, it has a little thing right there. Would you like to register now? You put your little state in, it's gonna come right on up, honey. I done registered so many people doing that in my very own city. That's exactly what I use when I've been going around here in this hot sun and been getting people to register to vote. So I've been using vote.org to do that. If they're not registered, we go ahead and register them right there on the spot. It literally takes 2 minutes. All you need is your social security number or your driver's license number, just like he said. So make sure y'all go and do that and keep checking them. I tell people to recheck them, especially you if you live in these southern states, these red states. Recheck them. Don't wait until it gets to the deadline don't wait until you get to the deadline. Check them again, because right here in the state of Louisiana, even though I was registered, and then I noticed that I wasn't getting anything in the mail from the registrar's office, but my husband was. They wasn't sending me a thing. I'm like, what's going on? I was not registered to vote. So I had to go back and even though I just voted. I literally just voted like 4 months ago. I was not registered to vote. So I had to go back and re-register to vote. Don't know how it happened. Nobody can explain to me how it happened, but it happened. Check your registrations, vote.org. It's so doggone simple. Put it in and you'll know if you're registered, and then they'll help you register in whatever state you're in. All right.
And I will say this too. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Those of you in North Carolina, if your license are about to expire before this election, you need to figure out how to get your passport expedited, because they are suppressing the vote, because people that were trying to vote locally this past May, I think, they were saying that they had such a backlog that they couldn't renew their license. So you need to make sure you have a voter registration card. You need to make sure you have your passport, something. I don't remember everything other than those two, but they had like 3 or 4 things you need to have. But they were turning people away from voting because, they were turning people away from getting their cards to get their license renewed because they said they had a backlog. So just be aware of anything. Y'all just make sure you double protected. Everybody need a passport anyway.
You ain't never lied about that.
So it's going to be difficult because the way the wave is going right now, I feel like I just feel better when I hear Kamala, and it's just like sunshine and daisies for me. And then when you hear Trump, it's like House of Dragons. I mean, it's just so different. It is so different, and this is such an important vote. It's so important, and people that haven't voted or haven't registered, register and vote. It's so important. Your children's life, your children's life can be affected with this. So
somebody said that Joe Biden's voice was the voice of healing and Kamala Harris's is the voice of hope. And
yeah,
I thought that was a very good point, because when President Biden took office, we were in that pandemic. He had a lot of work to do, and he also had a really divided country. And so now that we have Kamala Harris, her laugh, her banter, all of that, like that is something that we need. It's like like really healing. And then if we can heal, yeah, it is. If we can heal, then we can move on. We can move forward. So hopefully, I'm happy as a flea on a dog's behind with Kamala's campaign, baby. You can't tell me nothing. I be smiling with glee every time I talk about it, honey. So we're all excited.
So we have come to the end of our conversation today. I want to thank everybody in the chat who's been here, and I enjoy having these conversations. I enjoy all the insight, and I really want to say thank you, Erica, for being here. I know how busy you are at DC. That is a lot. So thank you for these 50 minutes that you have shared with us today. And thank you to my panelists who I love. You all are some formidable people, and I appreciate you being here. And y'all listen to the replay. Write this down, studentaid.gov/debt-relief. If you got student loans you need to try to work out, get that done. I'll post that somewhere else. Ms. Van says she can't wait to vote. I know that's right. I love that.
No, I can't wait. Let's go.
I know I could vote today. I'm ready today. I wish they started early voting in August. But I know we gotta have the DNC. So then after that,
we gotta have that DNC, and she got to tell us who she running with on Tuesday.
I know. I'm excited. Erica, can you? Okay,
I got
it.
Blink twice if it's the man from Philly.
You can't tell us. like when I talk to people about stuff, he don't leave. Like when I talk to people about like little information, you can't tell me a little something like an initial. Okay, you can't do it. You can't do it. We got it.
I got a little email. I think it was I donated. I think it was Vote Blue or something. I donated, and they sent this little email that says you can learn early who she's picking as a running mate. Like you got to add your name. I added my damn name to there, but I'm gonna find out when everybody else does. It was funny. I was like, I just saw the email again. They keep sending it. It's like, hey, you can find out who a running mate gonna be a little early. Or what I think it comes from Vote. Which one is it? Vote Blue or Act Blue or whatnot? I think I donated through them or whatnot on Instagram once, and ever since then I've been getting them little emails. It's funny. It's really funny because they're like, you can hear about it a little early. Like I know what you're saying. Like 2 seconds before she put the thing out. I know y'all trying to trick me. Add your name to the list.
But I mean, I'm just like I said, this wasn't even on my mind. I'm around here thinking about what's happening on a television show. But I had a conversation with someone and I was like, oh no, we've got to talk about this. So I appreciate you all being here. I appreciate you, chat, for being here. And it's your girl Millie Chun. Y'all have a good day and watch the replay. Bye, y'all.